Oh my God. We got the executive producer, father, tech entrepreneur, entrepreneur, writer, husband, New York Times bestseller, BET certified superstar, man, WNBA fan, and all of that wrapped in 270. Kev on stage. Kev on stage, what's going on, man? How you doing?
What's up, brother? I'm doing well. How are you?
Brother, it's an honor. Look, man. We talked to Miss Williams. We know it's tight hour. We're gonna keep it tight. Uh, brother, look, I happen to know that you grew up in the church and you developed your early comedic chops there, right? Like, people say do the little thing that you did earlier, and you were making people laugh early on. Do you think, and then like you kept on going, right? Like, I mean, I've seen the clips of you when you were impersonating other musicians, you were overplaying the drum set. Like, do you think that the church gets enough props for its role as an incubator of talent for like black and brown and like poor folks, right? Because I don't know if we really always appreciate the role that it plays, especially like in 2025.
I do. I think most of us are saying like R&B is not the same because people don't go to church. Like I think obviously I didn't think this while it was happening, but it was a space to showcase your talents. Even if you weren't a singer, if you were able to play instruments or if you were able to preach or theme speak or whatever, you got a chance to get up on that stage and share your gift, with the congregation. And, you know, people, I mean, obviously they didn't boo, but they cheered. And they didn't necessarily boo, but you could tell when you weren't doing well. They're saying let the Lord use you and stuff like that. So I think the fact that kids have less, I mean, that's, bro, if you're playing the drums for your church, you got a performance 2 or 3 times a week. I was able to play the drums, and I was the worst drummer at my church. I just got to play Amen in Bible study, but I still got to play 2 or 3 times a week. If you're the actual drummer, you get to play. You got a concert every Sunday, so you're able to, express yourself in whatever. And there's so many people who grew up in the church and grew up singing or leading praise and worship or playing in the instruments, things like that. In my case, I was able to do acting at church. We were able to do sketches at YPWW. Or I'm sorry, PYPU. YPWW is Kojic. I did that at church too, but PYPU. So for me, it's instrumental, and I do think I do think people understand it, even though we don't meet as often in the church as we used to back in the 80s and 90s.
Like 100%, man. I think about when I was, so I'm thinking about in high school, I was part of the church orchestra, and like the things I was doing that like I would never have done in my high school band. Like we're modulating in real time, so I'm having to like look at the sheet music and realize, oh shoot, I gotta take this from F sharp to like, oh god, and I'm like changing the fingerings in real time. It's crazy stuff, man. And then I think about even before that, public speaking, your Easter program, there's all types of things that you're just learning, project management, finance, like this. It's so much. It's funny enough, man. I was changing my shirt and I took my hoodie off, right, and I saw my trap sitting on camera, and I debated keeping this pod with my shirt off because of you, dog. Like you inspire, man. Like you're known for having your nips out. I was at your Houston show, the Backview tour, and you showed a little piece of stomach on there. I saw the belly button, just a little piece. Just a taste. Kept it churchy. Talk to me though about like body positivity and your ability to laugh at yourself. Like, what does that look like? Because I don't straight up when I think about representation in like the space. Obviously, look, I'm not over here calling you like Bruce. I'm just like obviously there's other people black comedians that have laughed at themselves, right? But I'm saying like you do it in such an approachable, honest way. Like, what is that? Where did that come from?
You know what's funny? I remember very specifically when I said I used to be very insecure about my body and stuff. And I remember very clearly Melissa and I went to Hawaii. By the grace of God, there was some sale Hawaiian Airlines. They were like selling tickets to Hawaii for like $125 round trip. And we just bought them. And then my homeboy worked at a Marriott, and he got a deal at the Westin Moana Surf Rider, which is a really nice hotel.
Yeah.
And he got the tickets for 50. He got the room for $50. So we got to go to Hawaii for like roughly $500. And that's the only way we would have been able to go to Hawaii at that time in our life. I remember being on the beach, and there was people of all sizes, and they like nobody had a shirt on. They were just like all bodies were represented, and I was like, I'm not finna be tripping no more. Like, this is dumb. Everybody here paid their money. They can have their shirt off. They can have whatever body they have off. So I don't think it even started as like I'm gonna show people the way or anything like that. It was just like, this is my body. Deal with it, because it is what it is. And over the years, I've ran into a couple of fellas who've been like, man, Kev, I appreciate you, man, representing for the big boys and stuff like that. And listen, as I get older, I realize, fitness people will tell you this isn't true, but it's a lie. So much of your body type is nature, right? And especially as I get older, I'm working out harder than I probably ever have in my life, and my body's responding slower than it probably ever has in my life. So I've accepted that, brother. Some people are big. Amen. Some people are big.
Amen.
We got to have some Jack Blacks. Jack Black is a beacon of hope for brothers like me. He just is himself. And some people, even my homies, some of my friends who are skinny, they can't gain weight, and they would love to. It's just socially acceptable to be skinny. It's not as socially acceptable to be fat. But I'm like, bro, I have everything in my life is going well. I'm not finna sit up here with abs. These man boobs and titties, they gonna be up under there. They gonna be jiggling. And it is what it is, bro. You gonna be okay. Y'all gonna be all right. You see, and there's a lot of people who are built like me.
Listen,
So,
listen to
I'm okay with it.
To your point about like working out more than you ever have. And again, look, I'm not a stalker, Kev. Okay, look, I'm a casual, distant observer and appreciator of your content. So when I say I've been watching your content for a while, that's what I mean. I'm not over here in LA watching you take these long walks, but every time I see you drop TikToks and stuff, like you're oftentimes walking, like you exercise, like you're drinking water. Like I see you, so it made me think, because I'm like, dang, like he really do be exercising like this, and he 2'7", and I'm like, man, I really. Like, I feel seen, because I be moving, Kev. And I'm like...
Yeah, and I know, like, I'm telling you, bro, it's like, if you look at, like, strongman competitions, them people don't look as, they don't look like bodybuilders, but they be super strong. And I think some people... there was a TikTok I saw, and this lady owned, like, huskies, like sledding dogs. And she was talking about she can feed them all the same amount and their bodies just respond differently. Some bodies are just different. And I think it's hard to believe that. But you've got so many people, and this is not me admonishing Ozempic. You do what's best for your body. I'm not a doctor. I'm not in your body. I'm not telling you nothing. But there's so many people who are doing it just because they feel like they have to look a certain way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They want to feel better. And I think, you can do that, but I'm just saying, I want people to love themselves regardless. And you can work out and exercise and eat whatever and still look like me, because I've never eaten this good. Even when I lost weight, when I was like 27, 28, I lost a good amount of weight, and I was still eating Wendy's. I was still eating burgers, and my body was just like, we got you, Kev. At 42, brother, it just don't go like that. Amen. But I like to still, if I never dropped another pound, I still would work out. I'd stay active. I like working out. I like walking. I like lifting weights. I like how it feels. And I think regardless of how your body actually looks, there's still health benefits from just moving your body. So
it's the right thing to do. Yeah, no, look, I'm right there with you. And like, man, it's funny because you and Angel, y'all talked about it on Here's the Thing one time, but like, and yeah, definitely no shade to folks on any type of semaglutides or Ozempic or whatever the case is.
Yeah, do you, man?
Just to be clear, but like, man, like, and I ain't trying to like freeze my stomach and like all these other little side effects. Like, I'm trying to like.
I've heard of, and I'm scared. I'm just scared.
I'm scary.
Yeah, and my boy Tahir is on it, and I can say for sure I've seen him doing the work, eating right, and working out, and it works for him, and that's fine. But I just want us. I wish society would be okay with us with whatever body type we have. That's not the case. So all you can really do is be okay with it yourself, and that's kind of what I'm working on.
I want to continue forward, right? Because to this whole, I really do feel like I fit in this really nuanced intersection of your your fan base, of your stakeholders, etc. Right. So obviously, like we've talked, other conversations you've had, and then like just people who kind of just know, like your largest audience, I believe, are Black women, right? Black women in the church.
Yeah.
That's your largest audience. However, like you have another audience now that is very real, which is, Black millennial fathers over 270, little gyno, churchy,
Yeah.
prime but limited pumps. Talk to me. I made KevOnStage laugh. I've succeeded. Now you laugh at everything, but I'm gonna take it as a win.
Genuine though.
No, I receive it. And you know what? You laughed at my joke on Twitter when I called the owner of the Falcons ambiguous. That's when I think you followed me back that day. So, but talk to me about your journey being authentically yourself in this business and a culture where like it just seems like everybody's really wishy-washy. Like corporate America is pretty wishy-washy, obviously, but like I think when you talk about in the entertainment space, LA, outside looking in from Houston, that seems like ultra that. So like, what does it look like for you to, like, have you ever felt pressure to change being who you are?
No, I don't think I felt, well, I guess that's not totally true. I felt some pressure in stand-up specifically. And I felt pressure to prove that I could be funny without using church jokes. Somehow, when I first got started, I didn't do the LA club things that most comedians do, because when we first got here, my wife was like, you're not finna leave me here in this new city by myself. Like in Washington, you was doing 5 shows a week at all these different clubs. That was one thing. I had my own job. My sister was there, like blah, blah, blah. But in LA, part of how you got in when I moved here was like you had to go to all the clubs. Even if you couldn't perform, you had to stay there all night. You had to go to Denny's and hang out. And that's how you got into the scene. And I was prepared to do that. And my wife was like, absolutely not. You're not staying up, because you had to stay out till 1, 2 a.m. 4 or 5 times a week. And she was like, you're not going to have me in this new city by myself with 2 small kids under 6. No. So I was like, fair. So my path was using the churches and stuff. And I would basically perform at a different church almost every weekend, it felt like. So I'd gotten this reputation like Kev's only funny in the church. Without the church jokes, he can't do it. So I'm very competitive. So I was like, I'm going to show them. So I remember I did one set, this whole tour where I didn't do any church jokes. And it was fine, but I felt like I wasn't creating out of a well. I was creating out of a shallow space. And I was proving to these mystery people that I could do what they did the way they did it. And that's really not what makes you better. It's like, I don't know if you're a big sports fan or not, but I think you are. It's like, if you're Michael Vick, you don't try to play like Tom Brady. You need to do what you do well. They would love for you to try to be Tom Brady, because then they could scheme to your weaknesses.
Right.
But they can't really stop you if you do what you do well. And the same thing as Tom Brady, you don't want him to be running like Michael Vick, because he's not. He's going to hit you with accuracy and check downs and all that type of stuff. So my boy Patrick Houston coined this term, aggressively genuine. And I think the more aggressively genuine you are, the more unique you will be. But at the same time, the more likable you'll be to people who've had similar experiences. So I'm not thinking everybody grew up in church like me. But man, when I start doing this, leaning into the church again, because I did it early in my career, but when I came back to it, I realized so many people grew up the way I did. So just by doing things that happened to me in my life, in my church, I was able to connect with people who had similar experiences. So I think I've accepted that being you is better, right? Like people are always afraid of being typecast. But if you're being typecast, that means you're being cast. The alternative is you're not cast, and everybody can't be Jeffrey Wright. Everybody can't disappear into a role. Some people are Tom Sizemore, who does a lot of similar things. The Rock, up until the Smashing Machine movie, had played a lot of similar roles. Kevin Hart's been accused of that, even though that's not the case for any of them. People are complaining, but you are booked. So I'm okay with that. I'm okay doing similar comedic style thing. I'm actually okay with just doing whatever I'm interested in. And that's been a blessing that I've had. And if people don't like it, that's okay. You don't have to like things. Everybody doesn't have to like everything. That don't mean I'm going to stop doing it, and that don't mean other people are going to stop enjoying it just because you don't like it. So that was a long-winded answer, but I hope I answered your question.
First of all, you're an elite yapper. It makes for an excellent podcast. Okay, this is great. This tight hour we're gonna go right by, and we're gonna get so much out of it. Thank you. No, this is excellent. I want to talk about your comedy, and then we're gonna talk about your content. But I want to talk about if we can sector it up, break it out a little bit.
Yeah.
So, do you remember? And like, look, man, different circles. Maybe you didn't. Do you remember some of the critiques on Kevin Hart's one of Kevin Hart's specials? Like, hey man, he's too rich. He's not funny anymore. Do you remember like some of that talking? Like, it's interesting for you, right? Because I remember, because I was going back and I was looking at Playmakers content, and I was like, okay, because I remember watching the stuff on on Facebook. And I just remember watching content back when your kids were like little, right? And I was in college, right? Like, I mean, I'm saying, like, my wife and I, we've been like, just to make you feel old, my wife and I have been married 12 years. I was watching you when she and I were like sophomores at University of Houston. So like,
when did you graduate?
2011.
You're younger than me.
I'm 36, man. I turned 36 in 2 days, but yeah.
Happy birthday.
Thank you, man. So here's the thing. What's interesting is like, despite the fact that I remember watching your content when you said you got fired. Wait, hold on. We're not going to just glaze by that. You think I'm old? Y'all look old to you, Kev?
No, you look young.
Oh, okay.
It's just I hate when people are younger than me.
Oh, okay, cool. I mean, I'm not that much. You're 42.
Yeah. But you're 6 years younger than me.
Because you be making them jokes with Joshy a lot. Because Josh, you be making me feel old too, though. Because when did Joshy graduate from college or high school?
Joshy was born in 93.
Oh gosh, see, I'm 89.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
I think he graduated 10 years after me. Pretty much everything with Josh is like 10 years after me.
See, yeah. So
he probably graduated high school when you were graduating college.
Oh, that's crazy. See, yeah. Okay. Well, look, full circle. I feel how you feel. Now, so I remember what I'm thinking about though is I remember when you dropped the video of I Got Fired and you did the Stay at Home Dad series. And
you've been around.
I've been around. I'm serious. Like, I've really been around. So check it out. Like, you did the Stay at Home Dad series, and despite the fact that because I've been watching your videos now, your ceilings have gotten higher in your houses.
Telltale sign.
Bro, you did a video. I was like, man, Kev don't know me, so I don't want to play with him like that. Because I almost said, yo, Kev, God is blessing the man of God. Like, it's
y'all, when we lived in Calabasas, them ceilings was that you opened the door, that thing went straight up.
Kev, you dropped a video one time. I remember I was looking at my phone like this, like I was trying to see it. I was like, what's this nigga? This nigga got no ceilings for real. Shout out Lil Wayne, God dog. This has no ceilings. And you opened up anyway. So the point is, because I was severe. I showed it to my wife. I was like, yo, what is? Kev is wealthy. Like, this is crazy. So despite the fact that your ceilings have gotten progressively higher, praise God, and your refrigerator also got the double John on it. I saw that too. Is you haven't actually you haven't really fallen out of touch like with the people. Like, I find that interesting. So like, do you ever have concerns that like you'll ever grow to be so successful that you'll lose touch with like the audiences that you've built over time?
I do worry about that, but I think part of being aggressively genuine is you got to be honest. Like, I always want to be relatable, the cousin next door, because that's really how I am. But obviously my income has visibly changed over the years, but there's always something you can relate with people about, right? Like, there's no amount of money that makes me different from any other parent who's scared to watch their kids leave or go to college, or who's afraid of a kid driving. You know what I'm saying? So yes, I'm aware that and I also try not to act like I'm still with people on things that I'm not. Like, I don't be like, man, you know what I'm saying? The rent prices, they be up. Like, let's be honest. That's not something that hits me the way it used to hit me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I try to just focus on the things that are relatable to anybody, you know, loss, love, family, dog, pets, whatever, the world. What we're all seeing the same things. You know what I'm saying? Marriage. I'm a husband. Husband, regardless of income, there's a lot of issues that a husband's just gonna have with his wife. A lot of issues that a dad's gonna have with his sons. You know what I'm saying? But I do know that at some point, if things keep going the way I'm going, I'm not going to be able to relate to people on income things, and people are going to think I'm unrelatable. They're going to think I'm not a man of the people. I think it's better to be honest. I remember Ellen had a joke about this one time. She said she had flown commercial, or no, she was talking about a commercial flight, and she said the people were in seats, I don't know, 11J. I don't know if they even go back that far. Like, she was being very tongue in cheek about like how she flies private. And guess what? When I start flying private, I just ain't gonna be talking about how it is on flights. But like, although I fly first class, when I was stuck in the airport for 14 hours the other day, first class is on the same plane as main cabin and coach. So there wasn't no amount of money that was gonna make the plane go. So
Right.
we all experienced that. And someone was like, "Why you ain't in the lounge?" And I was like, "Brother, because they said we was boarding, and then we weren't." Like, so
You,
no, I accept that for me to be on my path, that means I might not relate with people. And some people might, and that's not only an income thing. That's also my view on the world, right?
mm-hmm.
When I grew up, I had a view of this world. I had a view on the Black church. The older I've gotten, some of those viewpoints have changed. Some people only liked me when I was KevOnStage Playmakers, where every video was about the church.
Mm-hmm.
And once I started started working at All Deaf and doing those jokes, they got off the bus. But guess what? Sometimes new people join, so I think you are better off being yourself and letting people decide if they want to rock with you or not, than try to relate to people on a thing where you can't relate to them on, because you can't keep that up. Give me 1 second, Zach. Let me open the door. My dog has to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Go find it. Go. Sorry about that.
Hey, no need to apologize, man. So,
He pooped on the carpet, and I don't want him to waste no more rug. It was crazy.
No, I received that. So it's interesting, right? Because it's funny, man. I think when it comes to celebrities, and I know, you had the whole thing on the Joe Budden podcast. We're gonna talk about that in a second too. We talk about this content more, but you are a celebrity, right? Like, and I think people say that they want their celebrities to be like accessible and on the ground, but like, now I don't fly Spirit, but if I was flying Spirit and I saw KevOnStage next to me, be like, dear brother, I'm backstage crew. What right. happened? What right. So I think like there's like this duality. Like, people say stuff, it's like, come on, man. And yeah, I did see you get caught up on that flight. Once again, I was like, that looks crazy. I'm glad you finally got home. That's why, and side note, and this obviously ain't about to be an ad because I'm about to say nothing positive. This is why I don't fly American, Kev. I don't know. Was that the only other option you had?
It was in Chicago. Chicago has the most, either American or United, they have the most options out of it. I usually fly Delta. Yeah. But my experience, when you fly as much as I do, it's all the same. As far as like flight delays, that was the longest time specifically I've been there, but delays, cancellations, they're pretty equally distributed. Mm-hmm. It feels like, although American and O'Hare can be a little difficult, but that's the only airline. I mean, Delta only has two nonstop flights out of there, if even that. But yeah, I try to stick with Delta, but sometimes I prefer a nonstop before I prefer to with my airline.
All that PJs, all that private jet stuff, man. Like, I remember a few years ago, man, I was feeling myself. I was like, let me go and just see like what a PJ would be. Kev, they showed me there's so few times when like, unless I'm looking up something on my phone, I'll be like, I looked at it and literally put my phone down. Like, I put my phone down, pushed it away. I was like, bro. But it's so funny because
on right now.
What are y'all on? But here's the thing, like us, like the common person, will see you and be like, why do you just fly a PJ? Like, why are you flying first class? Brother, do you know how expensive a private jet is? Like you talking about chartering your own jet, not the Uber, not the secret jet Uber rental thing that people got.
Like, no.
Getting your own PJ?
I want God to bless me with that, but if he has to take his time, I understand. Because you have to be, usually the only way I can make it make sense is if you're flying so many people that the price doesn't, and you're flying them first class, that the price isn't that different.
Right.
That's not the case for me.
Right.
The most time I fly a lot of people is when I'm on tour, but it still makes sense to put the majority of them in a regular plane.
Yeah.
I can't just, because I don't, it took a long time to get here, and it's hard to maintain. And I won't be doing anything to maintain an image and actually not maintaining the income. So if you see, and if my life goes the other way and you start seeing me on Spirit, you gonna know I've been struggling as well. So that's the blessing of being authentic. I can be like, brother, I could be Ubering you as long as you give me 5 stars in the tip, brother. I hope you enjoy those videos, because obviously it's not working out. So that's easier for me to maintain, because the truth is much easier to maintain.
No, it's true. You don't have to have a long memory about it. Look, we got to talk about your content. Yeah. So look, like I said, I was on Facebook. I remember the very first video I saw of you and was on Playmakers, and it was the different types of praise and worship leaders. And one of the members was like, he was talking about just like one who blames the equipment. It's like, is the devil in the monitors? And like, go back and forth. And I remember just laughing so hard, because it's like, oh, this just happened last week. And I think about the fact that like you have built such a committed audience that is black, overwhelmingly black and churchy. And this could be my Southern bias coming out. Feels like a little Southern too, but certainly black and churchy.
Yeah, for sure.
Probably since that pandemic though, I've noticed more and more comedy that's, a little more crass. We talking about eating coochie, which, brother, first class ticket. Okay. You got tattoos, right?
Yeah.
Light cussing. You'll say, hell yeah. There's things that you've, hell. Yeah. There's things that you've kind of soft launched, but they've been like, they've done well.
Damn is on the way.
So I was going to ask you, what was the next in the soft? See, look, people don't know, Kev. I love content. I study it. So like, I'm like, he's soft launching that. When he says hell, he's A/B testing that. So listen.
Did you say A/B testing?
Yeah, you A/B testing it.
Absolutely.
On. It's so
cussing is in beta right now.
Cussing is in beta. So because I was like, yo, like the next time I get them on the pod, we're gonna be live. We're gonna roll one together. So, but he was on the Joe Budden podcast. Like, and here's my question, right? Because I remember, and look, this is real time. It's like it's so funny where I have you on the pod, because it's like, man, I told my wife, if I ever see him in person, if I ever talk to him, I'm gonna bring this up. So I've watched you on Ball Brothers tour, right? And then I've also seen you back pew, right? Obviously I'm watching Here's the Thing. I was on live. Here's the Thing live today. I think subconsciously a part of me, when I saw you in Houston, was expecting more of the Ball Brothers Here's the Thing KevOnStage. Mm-hmm. But those are different iterations. Yeah. Those are different versions, right? So my question though is like, what is the mad scientist of, okay, this audience, I gotta put on not a hat, because again, it's all Kev on stage.
Yeah.
But like, what does that look like? And how do you, and you talked about it earlier, like, hey, everybody isn't going to come and stay. And I get that. But like, you have overzealous fans that are saying you going to hell, right? Or that you don't know them, that you got to get. I
don't know them. I don't love them.
You don't love them. How do you manage these? I'm not going to say personas, because that's overstating it.
Yeah.
But obviously there's an intentionality in the fact that you're not talking about like sifting through the coochie like Vietnam on the back pew tour, but you might say something similar to that on the Ball Brothers tour, or you might say something about what does that look like for you?
So it's very simple. Most people don't believe this, but I started comedy in the church, right? That was my first time. but I honed my skills in a comedy club. So people think I've changed. If you were in Tacoma when I was learning how to do stand up at Nate Jackson's Comedy Club,
Yes, sir.
that's the version of me that's pretty much every time. Where I did much more stand up in a comedy club than I did in a church, still to this day. Even though I was performing at the Playmakers, when we would be performing, I did. Nate's was my every Thursday for like 2.5 years, but I was doing shows. Anthony Tibbs had shows. People were just booking me. So I often have shows 2 or 3 times a week, all in comedy clubs. If you're a stand-up comedian, you often do your club stuff. If you're blessed enough to get a theater, that's a blessing. But if you do colleges and corporate events, you can't perform the same way if you're doing a club versus college versus corporate. And often people are doing the corporate and the colleges because they pay way better than the club, especially early on. But you can't perform the same way. You got to be squeaky clean for corporate. This college, you can get away with more stuff, but you have to be like relatively clean as well for certain colleges. So you really want your material to be well received. I know the thing about churches, there's even a difference between a church that has a sanctuary, traditional sanctuary, and a church that's in a theater. There's a difference between me being at a church for my comedy show and being at like the church for like a marriage enrichment thing or a love hour. If there's no kids in the audience, you can get away with a lot more stuff if it's a marriage event versus an event for everybody. So when you perform a lot, you know what you can do when you're good. You know what you can do, what you can get away with. But it's all me. It's just a sports analogy again. If I'm running my offense and I can pass and throw the ball, but they not stopping the run, then I'm going to run the ball. If they can't stop the pass, then I'm going to pass. Against certain teams, okay, we don't really match up with them well on our corner, so we're going to run a lot of slot stuff. We're going to do, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're building the best approach to this game. Stand-up is no different. To me, I'm just, because I have the same material, but sometimes you're tweaking it a little bit so that it's the best received. Now, if you're somebody like, say, Nate Jackson or Matt Rife, who's built such a massive audience, they're performing to their audience in the same type of venue, same type of way. They don't have to make adjustments like that. I mean, as far as how they perform. But the majority of us, when we're still building our career, we got a different thing. And there's very few comedians that can even perform in a church at all.
Right.
So obviously, I respect the church and I respect the people for letting me rent their church. I'm not gonna deface it by doing stuff that I would do at a comedy club when I'm at church. And also, it wouldn't be as well received. So when you come see me at the Ball Brothers, I'm not gonna be cussing like crazy, but I'm gonna be way more loose with how I perform than I would on the Back Pew tour. So I think. And what I found when I first started doing comedy, which was so interesting, church people love to see me at the clubs because they love the risque versions. And when I'd be at the clubs, they'd love to hear jokes about the church because they often grew up like that and they got those jokes. So I think the same way I'm like that, so are people. People like anime and Game of Thrones and sports and reading books. That's all within each of us.
Yeah.
Performing is no different.
It's interesting, like, I wonder, do you ever consider, and I really wonder, do you, like, where do you see yourself and as an influential force when you talk about, like, when you got a tattoo, when you talk about, I'm going to get more tattoos, when you do a little bit of soft cussing, when you openly talk about eating coochie, when you talk, like, do you see yourself as a positive influence, real talk, on the Black male Christian and how he sees and navigates the world, right? Because, like, I think about when I was coming up, I got my life rededicated to Christ in college, and man, like, now I can say this now, like, almost 18 years past that, there were some weirdos early on in your faith, Kev. Niggas be weird, right? And sexually repressed, and so I want and I mean. I'm curious, like, do you ever consider, like, when you, even as you're making these jokes that some might find crass or some of your fans may find offensive or whatever the case is, when they see you in different environments that they maybe didn't even realize that you've been in for decades, like, do you consider the impact that you're having when you do that?
No, not really. I never really even thought about it at all. But I'm grateful if I can help somebody. But I know, like, for me, PJ Morton writing a book called Why Can't I Sing About Love and deciding that even though he was the son of a pastor, a bishop, a very famous bishop in a very famous denomination, his path was different. And him just being true to himself allowed me to be true to myself. Kirk Franklin as well. And I think it allows me to honestly live in my truth. And bro, the thing about the church people, as far as them being mad, they're gonna be mad regardless. And I use this example. Anna Douglas is the churchiest, cleanest comedian ever, and people still get mad at her. So there's no level of anything you can do where everybody loves you, understands you, or appreciates you. So I'm grateful because I do get that from a lot of people. Like, Kev, you let me know it's okay to do whatever. But I just feel like for my Christian walk, what I couldn't do is what happened in my life growing up.
Mm.
And that was people presenting as a certain way as a Christian that was different than how they lived. This is my walk. However I am feeling, I will express that. You don't have to like it. You being anybody. That's okay. You will be okay. I can disappoint you. You will be okay. What are you looking to me for anyway? It's so funny, the Joe Budden thing. I know we're going to get into it.
Yeah.
So many Christian outlets were what he said on the Joe Budden. What he said on the Joe Budden. Why y'all watching Joe Budden? So many Christian people, and I'm talking about these clips Joe Budden didn't cut these clips. So you went and watched the Joe Budden podcast to talk about what a Christian was saying on the Joe Budden podcast. Let's be clear. And I'm not even saying there's nothing wrong with Joe Budden, but you obviously watched that whole episode, right? So I just can't. It's too tiring and taxing to try to be everything to everybody. I want to be true to myself, be there for my family, and and be there for my friends. The strangers, I hope you enjoy me, but if you don't, I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna be okay.
You know what stuck out? The reason I wanted to talk about the Joe Budden podcast because it's so funny, man. And like again, like there's so much content that like people drop, and it's like I don't know, the algorithm has changed so much. It's like I don't even know if people even see the comments. But when you made that video, said like, listen, if you watch the Joe Budden podcast or watch Battle Rap, you're probably not gonna be a huge fan, blah blah. And I was like, damn, but I am a huge fan though, and I do watch Battle Rap, and I do like the Joe Budden podcast.
I got that one wrong, didn't I?
Hey Kev, you was dead. Hey Kev, I'm gonna tell you, you was dead wrong. Like I was
dead wrong,
brother. I want to tell you, my brother-in-law, who also buys me Battle Rap. Now, I don't go to Battle Rap live events because that's a little too aggressive. But I do watch the pay-per-view. And my brother-in-law, who will buy me pay-per-view tickets to watch like virtual Battle Rap events, also like will talk to us about like, hey man, make sure you like so it's like it's not just like three people, dog. Like we really like that intersection exists, but that's not what I wanted to bring up, right? The fact that you say, hey, if you don't like it, it's cool. Mm-hmm. Take care. That in itself is a sign of success, no? Like, do you feel like you would have been so... And I'm not saying that you're being, like, braggadocious or malicious or dismissive, because that's not the vibe I'm getting from this at all. But the fact that you're even open to, like, say it out loud, because I'm curious, like, early on, before the success you're seeing now, do you feel like you would have been as comfortable potentially losing audience?
No, man. When I tell you, that's probably the hardest lesson I had to learn. As a comic, I could be performing in front of 300 people. 297 are having the time of their life, and 3 are not laughing. I only see the 3. And every comic I've ever known is the same way. Mm-hmm. And human beings, you can have 1,000 people tell you you're great, 1,000 comments saying they love you, 2 comments say you're ugly and you're fat. Your mind gonna find them too. And here's why it was so hard. For a good part of my career, remember, you've been on the internet for a long time. Mm-hmm. The internet was not algorithm based from the whole time.
It used to be flat, dog.
Flat. So if you wanted to watch my videos, you either found me, somebody that liked me shared it, it was only really shown to your subscribers on YouTube. So my content very rarely went outside of people who liked me. You weren't really shown things that you didn't like. Now the algorithm just throws out stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So you're much more, and the more viral your video goes, the more likely it's going outside of the audience that you are or you made it for. So for many years of my career, I didn't get a lot of pushback. I got some, but it wasn't like daily the way it is now. So I really struggled with people not liking me openly, and I'm still learning to navigate that too. What really helped me is when my mind clicked. I always wanted to be a household name for as long as I can remember. I never thought that everybody who's a household name, they're not loved in every household. They're just aware in every household. You know LeBron James. That doesn't mean you're a fan of his. You might think there's a good amount of people who think he's terrible. He don't have no real rings. Kevin Durant, whatever. You know, if you're on Twitter a lot like I am, you know, there's for every stand, feels like equal hater for whoever it is. So the bigger you are, the more people are aware of you against their will. The more they're not going to like you. And because everybody has a platform, sometimes when people make that proclamation, other people in the algorithm who don't like you find, I don't want to say community, but they find that piece of content and they agree as well. So I've had to learn to accept that I'm not for everybody. Sometimes I'm not going to be for the people that I used to be for. And sometimes there's new people who will be for me later, but I can't dwell on people who don't like me. So I try to focus on the love I get. I try not to bring any light to the negativity, but I still see it. But I mean it with love. You don't have to like me. It is okay. By the grace of God, enough people like me that I can do this for a living. And that's all I really wanted anyway. And low key, sometimes I'm like, man, this level of fame is hard enough. Any more famous, I won't be able to do the things I like to do. I like to walk in my neighborhood. I like to go to restaurants. I like to go whatever restaurant is available. You know, The Rock was just talking about this. He's like, everything I have to do is clandestine. I have to go call ahead, walk in the back. I can't eat. You know what I'm saying? I don't want that. I like eating. I want to be able, wherever everybody else is going, I want to be able to, but I know if I continue on this path, that just won't be the case. You know,
Kev, you got one, you're going to put one more show on that BET app and it's going to be over. Like, you got one more show. You had one more show of that doggone app and see what happened to you. Like, they're going to be sifting through your trash.
I know, man.
We're going to talk about it though. So look, and we're coming up. Tight hour. As someone who's been married for over 12 years, this is me, right? Marriage Be Hard, New York Times bestseller, really spoke to me. You know, we're in this era, dog, where like, I don't know, man, it's scary outside. Like every time I see stuff online and like with no prompting, I'll go to my and be like, man, just thank you for just.
Bruh, me too. Bruh, I'm not even being funny. I am so grateful to not be out there because it looks scary out there. It's the best thing that keeps me home. I don't want to be out. And I was out. I'd have to be out there as KevOnStage. On soft, you ain't seen this. You don't want to.
Well, let me ask this. Like, what does the KevOnStage? Do you know what Harmon will ask? Because I know the thing about it is like you're successful enough. I'm confident that. You were just crying, and I hope that we get a moment where you cry on this podcast too. We could cry together. Okay. But like I'm confident that there's opportunity to like to destroy your marriage, right? Like that, like, and as someone who's been married over a decade, like that's for me too. Like I would love to understand more though about like the impact that marriage has had on your journey as you create, build, and work, right? Because for me, I think about like my own journey. I started in corporate America. I got laid off. Then got another job, and then like the boss called me an ape, and then put a knife to my other boss's neck. It was crazy, Kevin,
an ape?
Mr. Fredericks, an ape. He called me and my
literal knife.
He put a literal knife to my boss's neck, who was also a black man, right? So I ran up out of there. It was crazy. Hold up the pot for another day. We'll talk about it next time. then like I'm in corporate America and I'm navigating consulting and I'm ups and downs, depression, and like my wife for me was that person that I could like take off all the masks for and just be myself, right? Yeah. Like I would imagine, like especially like I know rather as an entrepreneur, you're kind of just building on momentum, right? But there's going to be some days where you get like a bunch of no's stacked on top of each other, and it just feels like, damn, right? Talk to me about the impact of your marriage as you do the things that you do.
In every way, shape, or form, I would not be who I am if I weren't married. Period, point blank. What makes me likable is I'm married and I have my kids. Without my wife, I wouldn't have kids. Or without her, they wouldn't have some normalcy, wouldn't have a good relationship with them. She literally has helped me craft better jokes. She's sometimes giving me jokes like here, like people. Nobody knows how funny she is. Nobody knows how funny she is except me. I'm the only one that gets to see her be as funny as she is. Maybe her sisters, but they don't get to live with her. So she gets more jokes off around me than she does around them. Maybe group chat, she be going off. Business wise, I've made so many good decisions because of her, avoided so many bad decisions because of her. Some of the bad decisions I made was because I didn't listen to her. And I'm not even saying she's always right, but well, she shoots at a high clip. Yeah, it might not be every time, but it is quite often.
Yeah,
98.7. And she also keeps me focused. I was talking to somebody actually on Joe Budden podcast. I was saying how I'm able to be more creative because I'm not. This maybe is my credit, but it's hers as well because she's so amazing. I don't want to lose her. I don't waste time sniffing around other women, sliding in DMs. What you doing? I'm gonna be in St. Louis. Will you bring me some ribs? St. Louis. I don't do that.
Yeah.
So I'm able to, like, before the show, man, I'm resting, and then I talk to her. I go perform. I talk to, like, I'm I'm trained to be the best. This is like you listen to NBA players. They like, I got my meals. I got my pregame nap. I got my
structure.
Like that. I got my structure. Thank you. She gives me structure and peace, and she's like home base. So it's not like I hope it doesn't come off like this, but she's not a burden. This is a benefit to me. It's somebody I want to win with and for. It's somebody I want to share things with. And I get to go inside her body with my body and release. I look forward to that.
No, bro, let me tell you something. I was literally just talking to a friend and I said, men by and large in their first marriage, if you see a man like who's in a long-term, that man is married up like every time, right?
Yes.
And like people be like, oh, you pandering, blah, blah. I'm not pandering. This is an observable fact, right? And we were talking about you, because we were watching Churchy. Shout out to Churchy. We're going to give you space to plug everything in a minute. But we were watching Churchy, and I was like, man, it's funny because I said, Miss Fredericks, like, she, like, when you talk about, and then somebody said, no, you talk about KevOnStage? What? He said, man, he married up. He won.
Yeah.
But like, that's the thing, man. It's like, and you're absolutely right. Like, and it's just part of just being relatable and whatever it is. I do wonder, like, when cats who be cheating and have like businesses and stuff, it's like, bro, you not tired? Like,
bro,
I think about now. At the same time, Kev, I got 4 kids. They all under 6. Okay, but Kev, listen, twins, dog. Yeah, twins, bro. They're 4 months old right now. They're turning 5 months old this month, and I got a 5-year-old and I got a 2.5-year-old brother. And so it's funny because you
got twins last.
Brad, twins, dog. God said, watch this.
Oh my, that's not fair.
Kev, I'm over here trying to figure out a bunch of stuff. I'm like, man, I listen to that clip. So I'm like, man, I need to get back to selling this crack. Like, I gotta figure it out, brother, because it's looking crazy outside. Like, I'm okay. My ceilings have also gotten a little higher, but brother, the groceries are also getting higher.
Yeah, I feel you,
bruh. So okay, look, man, we're gonna get up out of here because I'm trying to get this extra thing in on this bonus if I can. So speaking of things that you do, man, look, you got Again, you got 2 shows on BET, another New York Times bestseller loading, coming on the way. We're gonna speak things that are not as if they are, good brother. Okay,
hey man, we hoping for it. If I don't hit it, I ain't gonna say I didn't hit it. I'm just gonna be quiet. I got enough other things to promote.
Hey, listen, man. Listen. Successful failure, lessons learned, flat on my face. How did you? This is my question for you, right? Because I think like the idea of failing, especially as like a Black American, and I'll just because we're both Black men talking as Black men, like. I feel like there's only so much failure that we're conditioned to internally tolerate before we go, okay, it's time to do something else. Like, It's over. For you, and I haven't read the book, right? And hopefully I get I'll coordinate. I would love to get, I'd love to get like an early copy of something. I'd like to do like an extra something. I don't know, whatever. Okay, cool. You see that, y'all? Just be shameless. Just say it, y'all. Sometimes they'll say yes. They might say no, but it's okay.
If I say no, it's a no already. If you didn't ask, you're in the same situation you was already.
Come on. And Kevin has a beautiful smile. He would have said no and smiled, but he kept on going. So look, I asked because like we fall in this space of like just failing, and we go, okay, no, I've just failed too much. I have to stop. How have you determined that your failures were commas or semicolons and not periods? Like, what was that process for you navigating your failures?
Bruh, let's take what I would consider a failure. Not making the New York Times bestseller list would be considered a failure to me, Kevin. But is that really a failure? Like, I got a book published. By the grace of God, the check clears regardless of how many I sell. Right now, obviously, you sell 100 million, you're gonna get a little bit more, but I won't get less than we agreed on. Is that really a failure? Honestly, bro, I used to hate every second of every day that I was at work. So the fact that I get to do what I love for a living, I've already won. Anything else is just extra. I get to make people laugh for a living. If I get to go to theaters and sell 3,000 tickets, great. If I got to come back down to clubs, I'm still getting to make people laugh for a living. I've already won, and my expectations are low. I just want to be able to do what I love for a living. I don't even have to be filthy rich. I would love to be able to travel, but listen. I enjoyed traveling to Paris. The first time I went, I sat in 37B. And I enjoyed flying to Dubai in a plane that I could take a shower in. Of course, I'd love to fly in a plane I could take a shower in. But if I got to go back to coach, the planes still go there. I'll still go. I'll sit in. I'll watch my movies. The seats ain't that different. I can pack a lunch. I'll pack some Cheez-Its. And I think in some ways growing up poor helped me to be like this because it allows me to enjoy things, but I don't have to sell my soul or do anything that I don't agree with morally because it ain't that serious. Yeah. I don't mind going to work. I don't mind if I got to perform. I got to go back to the clubs 5 nights. I'll be in Greensboro. Brother, we be having a good time. And I'll make the most out of that. So I think that being grounded is the key. Because if you want more, the more you want, the more successful you're going to be, then the more likely you are to consider a failure. Will Smith was saying if he thought, he at one point believed that if his movie didn't break 100 million, it was a failure. And his homeboy was like, I believe, like, brother, you mean to tell me 87 million is a failure? That's crazy. So I don't want to get so competitive and so, that I forget this is already a dream. I'm already living my dream. If nothing else happens, I'm already living my dream. And that's where I find joy there.
You talked about, I'm going to say it's on our way out, wrapping up, is, you talked about the KevOnStage app. And I remember as part of your promo, you talked about that being one of the failures, right? RIP.
Yeah.
Let me give you your flowers in real time. You know that I saw that KevOnStage app and I said, dang, okay, so he took his library of content and then turned it into like a subscription experience for like his community. Do you know that was the inspiration behind my business's e-learning platform? So we took all of our podcasts and we built, this was before like AI, this was like 3 years ago. So generative AI was not in the same place. So we had to build our own engine, our own AI engine, and we fed our whole podcast library through it and then turned all of them into e-learning modules. And then we built like a Spotify type player and then loaded all those modules into it. And then we sell that to companies on an annual subscription basis. And I was inspired because of the KevOnStage app. So even though you count that as a failure, like that was something, I saw that and I kept telling people, like, dog, you know how innovative this is? This nigga took all of his content organized it, and then like
Yeah.
it's and using and so like that's the same thing that we've done at Living Corporate, and like it's still going, man. Like I literally we just sold another subscription 2 weeks ago, and like we're gonna do an onboarding session in a couple days, man. So like, and it's an active thing. So I just hope I'm sure you seem outside looking in. You seem like a man well loved and well supported by the people. Obviously, you track more of your hate than I do than I would. Uh, but I want to tell you while you can see me that, man, you're appreciated.
You. I appreciate that. That means a lot. That kind of stuff keeps me going. So I truly appreciate that.
All right, tight hour. Before we get out of here, where can folks learn about you and support, and how can they support you? And please, Kev, organize it, dog. Like the first thing to the last thing.
Honestly, your best bet is following me, KevOnStage. If you follow me on Instagram or whatever platform you're on, Twitter, Threads, Facebook, YouTube, I'm pretty consistent on all those. Everything else I'm doing will come from there. So just follow me as I follow Christ.
I love it, man. You've talked to the man, the myth, the legend, the producer, the executive developer, the tech entrepreneur and visionary, the father, the husband, man, the son, the writer, all the different things. KevOnStage, Kevin Fredericks himself. Till next time, y'all. Peace.
Appreciate it. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. You and me. I got to go do another podcast right now.
Bye.